Hi, and welcome back to another episode of Learning with Lerma. Much like last week, I'm not alone. I'm actually joined by my friend and biggest fan, Ave Ibrahim. Ave is the program manager for consulting and data services at ASI Government, and he's been working on a really interesting program that I think of as a tremendous proof of concept for the course that I teach, which is DITAP, Digital IT Acquisition Professional Certification, where we really try to encourage folks to buy IT in different ways using challenges, modular contracting methods, anything that will get innovation into the government quicker and more more effectively. And so, Abe, you've actually had a lot of success recently with the pilot IRS program. The pilot IRS program, for anyone who doesn't know, has been described as venture capital like funding for federal IT procurements, specifically for the IRS. And really, it's a way to phase into a solution where the government's not having to push out tons of cash to figure out whether or not an offering is going to work for them or not. So, Abe, I'd really love to hear a little bit about the FPDS-NG project that you've been working on for the
Sure,
IRS.
sure, absolutely. Thank you so much, Justin. And I am your biggest fan, especially with this show. Even though this is second episode, but I know it has a bright future ahead of it. Um, yeah, you know what? Let's. I'm going to take it back to Sesame Street. Today's episode is sponsored by the word innovation, right? So, Pilot IRS um, is really an innovative approach, or led by Shanna Webbers and at the time Harrison Smith. Shanna Webbers is the chief procurement officer. At the time, Harrison Smith was the deputy chief procurement officer. And what they wanted to do is develop an approach or a platform for them to get innovative responses to IRS challenges. And their way to do so was to allow flexibility in solutions that would come in as a concept and gauge their success as they evolve into a prototype and eventually down into a deployed solution or an implemented solution. So it allowed for so much flexibility and allowed for the IRS to really gauge the success and collaborate intimately with that process. And so how we started was through a requirement called the FPD-SNG data cleanup. And this was a challenge because for anyone that's not familiar with the procurement space or a federal procurement space, FPD-SNG is the Federal Procurement Data System. NG stands for Next Gen, is a platform where a lot of the procurement data resides publicly for everyone. And oftentimes, because for reasons like human error or entry, there are discrepancies between what's in the FPDS-NG record
Mhm.
and the actual data that resides in the contract, right, or a contract documentation. So we were brought in to reconcile those discrepancies, one, identify them, and then reconcile them and decrease the amount of burdensome administrative work that was required to do so manually.
Mhm.
And so tapped into our teammate, Abion, to develop a solution that incorporated robotic process automation as well as AI, natural language processing. What's really cool about that is that it reduced the review process, the manual review process that's required to, again, identify and resolve those discrepancies um, from so many steps into one, right? The bot would go into certain documents and it would go into the FPDS and G record. And then through artificial intelligence, read through all of the contract documents and gauge whether or not the data that's reported is accurate. And if there are discrepancies within the data fields, they would be flagged and then reported to a human administrator. So just one step. And then the human administrator would say, yes, continue to resolve these discrepancies, or no, I'm okay with this discrepancy. It's not a discrepancy at all, or any other reason not to resolve the discrepancy. And so it really helped in areas of compliance and audits that are frequent and
Yeah.
that are associated with these sets of financial records.
Mhm.
And we're so proud again for the collaboration that has been there since the beginning between our teammates as well as internally with the IRS team.
Yeah, and it sounds like you probably worked a lot with IT, with governance, with policy to make sure this stuff is really excellent. And this sounds really cool, Abe. It sounds like it actually solves a problem for every single contracting office that exists anywhere. And you've actually been in the news a lot. The team has been in the news quite a bit recently. Would you like to share, sort of why that is and what that really wonderful statistic in terms of labor hours came out to?
Yeah, because of our NLP, our natural language processing and RPA solution, we call it intelligent business automation. We call it IBA because it's not just uh, automation; it's intelligent automation. Because of the success of that, and how uh, open it is to resolve so many different issues and challenges within procurement and within federal administration as a whole, we were tapped in to resolve another issue, the Section 889 clause incorporation challenge. And so,
Sounds really fun.
yeah. Yeah, so what happened was last year there was a specific clause that required to be incorporated into existing contracts. And if you're familiar again with the acquisition arena, you would know that for you to incorporate a clause, you have to have contract modification. And so to develop a contract modification, it usually takes hours, if not yeah, hours, at least for just one contract, right? There's a lot of correspondence back and forth. There's
Yeah,
filling out the appropriate form. There's saving those appropriate forms,
yeah,
and then creating the relevant FPDSMG record.
yeah.
And so the IRS required incorporating that clause into about 2,000 contracts.
Oof.
And we did the calculation, and that would have taken anywhere from 1.5 to 2 years tops to do. And the clause was extremely time sensitive. It was urgent, and it was a national defense clause, so it needed incorporation yesterday.
Yeah.
And so what we were able to do is reduce that time from 1.5 to 2 years to just 3 days through that RPA and NLP, through that intelligent business automation.
Yeah. That's
And that
incredible.
again was because of the innovation and the leadership within the IRS to allow for us to incorporate something like this.
Yeah, I mean that's just absolutely amazing, man. I mean, I can't even uh, begin to imagine what that kind of savings would be like across the entire government. This is an offering that we do now provide to other folks. It's not just exclusive to one agency. That's right? I'm not missing something here, right, Dave?
Yeah, absolutely. And the savings are quantifiable. In this case, we conservatively estimated that this saved about $200,000 in administrative hour, and it was the most conservative estimate that we could come up with. And our platform and our solution again is challenge agnostic because we could implement that level of automation and that level of intelligence into any use case and any challenge. And it's also platform agnostic. It's not specific to a specific contract writing system or folder management system that an office or an agency has.
That's absolutely excellent, and I'm assuming that because of that, right? You've gone through plenty of security, cybersecurity audits. This thing is good to go for anyone that might need it.
The leadership within IRS had the foresight to incorporate policy owners and governance and the IT sector of the IRS early on, and we were able to collaborate with them and go through very, very crucial and integral but stringent cybersecurity assessments to make sure that our solution, our version 2.0, is one that is most suitable for the federal space. And so we're happy with where our solution is now, thanks to that engagement with cybersecurity.
Yeah. Really wonderful. Just this is a clear demonstration of what collaboration across a number of stakeholders can really lead to. It can lead to this incredibly innovative solution that saves the taxpayers tons of money. Taxpayers
Yeah.
all around the country should be really excited about these savings and the potential savings across the entire government. So really, really cool project. Thanks so much for joining me today, Abe. This was really wonderful. It was really great to learn from you. And if anybody would like to talk to Ave or I, obviously Ave is tagged in this particular description. I'm posting this video so you can reach out to either of us. And I hope to see you next time on Learning with Lerma. Thanks so much, buddy.
Thanks so much, Justin. And I want to give a special shout out for our teammates on this effort. And again, the IRS team, our teammates are Abion. They're incredible to work with. And so Team ASI as a whole has been really, really benefiting from this collaboration that you mentioned. And again, big fan of Learning with Lerma.
Thanks, buddy.
Take care.